Stephen A., the Brooklyn Nets, the Kings of New York, have dropped 4 straight. What? Falling to the Blazers, Bucks twice, and then the Mavs last night. Anthony Davis, he can't catch a break. After missing a couple months with a calf and an Achilles, Davis left the game last night versus the Clippers with back spasms. We'll have more on that in a moment. And then there's LeBron James, who says he's not 100%, and he isn't confident he'll ever be 100% again.
Over the last 6 weeks, that's all I've been doing, is having an urgency to get back and play. I knew I would, getting back to 100%, it's impossible. I don't think I will ever get back to 100% in my career.
All right. So here's the good news, fellas. He is expected to be back on the court next week from that high ankle sprain that's left him sidelined of late. Max,
yes.
Is LeBron James on the decline?
You're asking me, Molly, if I've learned my lesson. Not just with the cliff with Tom Brady, but once upon a time when KD won MVP during the regular season, and I said, well, wow, and he really deserved it. I guess LeBron's not the best in the world anymore, and then the playoffs came, he proved me wrong, he's still the best. And then Steph did it, same story. The league has changed. It's Steph Curry's world. And they won 73 games, and then LeBron proved me wrong again. And most recently, Stephen A., I don't know if you remember, but let me remind you, I know your memory is fuzzy on these things. I actually said that Kawhi Leonard was better than LeBron because LeBron was hurt, getting older. Kawhi just won Finals MVP. And then the dust settled from the playoffs, and I was proven wrong again. So you would think, after being burnt by LeBron so many times, I would have learned my lesson, but you would have thought wrong. It's straight from the horse's mouth. LeBron says he doesn't think he'll ever be 100% again. And why is that relevant now? Well, in the regular season, I didn't think he was the best player in the world, game for game. I thought that was Embiid. And then I thought it was James Harden. And Stephen A., I don't see how the Lakers make it out of the first round given all the injuries. He will not have the playoffs to remind everyone. And next year he'll be 37. If James Harden, for example, comes back and is healthy, and the Nets go on a rampage, as I anticipate they will, and James Harden is the reason, given the way he played in the regular season, he may have taken the crown. I think LeBron is in decline by his own admission.
So,
It's sad, right?
It's hard. I mean, there are so many times that I think his the license to talk basketball should be stripped from him. It's just really amazing. If you're talking about there's a decline in the level of athleticism because LeBron doesn't have the ups on a continuous basis that he had when he was younger. Okay, I get that. But this would be the same Max Kellerman that applauded the greatness and accentuated the greatness of Michael Jordan because of how he adjusted once his athleticism diminished to some degree, but there were other elements that came shining from his game. He also applauded Kobe Bryant for the same thing, but we're ignoring that from LeBron James. LeBron James is averaging 25 and nearly 8 assists and 8 rebounds per game. At age 36 in his 18th season. He got his knee twisted up against Atlanta a couple of months, a month and a half ago. He's missed more than 20 games. We get all of that. And because of that, we're going to look at him and we're going to say there's a decline. We've already acknowledged that if LeBron James were healthy, first of all, they wouldn't be battling for some playing spot. If LeBron James were healthy, the Lakers would be a top 3 seed in the Western Conference. We all know it because that's pretty much where they were before he went down. We understand that. We understand it even with Anthony Davis and with the other pieces that they have on the Lakers, which isn't much. If LeBron was healthy, we'd be talking about, are they going to the conference finals? We know this. We know this. Max had them as his favorites to come out of the West because of LeBron James. And that was a month and a half ago. Okay, so all of a sudden he's out due to an injury. And the person that you had going to the finals, there's slippage. It doesn't make any sense. Here's the reality of the situation. LeBron, a matter of fact, just yesterday, I talked about a bunch of names. Who did Max Kellerman have as the best point guard in basketball?
LeBron. He also had him as the most terrifying player when you were off of Kendrick Perkins, who is going to join us.
These are all the things that Max said. Now, I brought up stuff he said weeks ago. You just validated what he said 24 hours ago.
Yeah.
This is
None
Max.
of that's contradictory.
Okay, so again, the point that I'm making is you're talking about slippage. What slippage? In the end, your impact on the game, your numbers, what you bring to the table, All of those things matter. And last time I checked, when it comes to LeBron James, it's pretty much the same, which is why we marvel at the man's greatness.
All right. Max likes to touch hot stoves. That's what I heard many times. Kendrick Perkins, NBA champion, joining the conversation. Perk, get in on this. Is LeBron on the decline? You just heard the two fellas.
Well, first of all, Molly, I thought we already addressed this, okay? And Stephen A., I don't know why you getting so worked up about Max. You know, I had a saying a while ago about maybe a year ago that if, you know, you put a bird in Kyrie Irving's brain, you know what the bird is going to do? It's going to start flying backwards, okay? And when you think about Max Kellerman, okay, and you take his brain and you put it in a bird and ask him something about the game of basketball, you know what the bird is going to do? It's going to dive straight down and start digging a hole into the ground. That's just where it's at. Because when you talk about a decline in your basketball game, that means that you're actually watching the game and you're seeing that LeBron James is not capable of doing what he has done in the past. And that's not the case. We're talking about a guy that we continuously talk about every single year, saying, hey, he's getting older. And then all of a sudden we're talking about he's in the MVP conversation. How is he still doing this? How is he still dunking and snatching the screws out the rim? How is he still moving with brute force and great speed up and down the floor? How has he elevated his game? We heard one of his former teammates, one of his good friends in the NBA, a guy he won 2 championships with not so long ago, Dwayne Wade, come on national TV and say, this is the best basketball that I've seen LeBron James play. And this was at the age of 35. And this year, coming into this season, he was right there again in the MVP conversation. And all of a sudden, he sprains his ankle, Max, and you believe him when he says that he will never be 100%. But Max, let me give you something, okay? I grew up in the hood, okay? The country, all right? And in the country, sometimes you go to what you call, quote unquote, little hood dice games, okay? And if you're not caught up on game, and I'm giving you free knowledge right here, they have these certain players in there that may roll the dice and they just spin them. It's called locking the dice, okay? And if you don't catch them, they're going to burn you out of all your money. You one of them guys, Max. They'll tell you, hey, Big Purdy, bring Max with you every single time because we go get him. Because you wouldn't be smart enough to say, nah, y'all better shake them dice up and roll them up out there. You wouldn't be smart enough to catch that. So for me
What's
to come
the dice
on here
game